Welcome to Lesson 1 of Medical Charting for Clarity. I put together this series of simple slideshows to talk about some of the topics I cover in my book, the Handbook of Medical Charting. The handbook focuses on clarity in medical charting. If you find the information in these lessons useful, please check out the handbook. Let's take a step back for a moment. Let's ask ourselves, what is a medical chart to begin with? A chart is communication. At first glance, this is obvious, but many clinicians get so stuck in the details that they forget this simple fact. On the surface, types of charting can be very different. You have history and physicals, SOAP notes, operative notes, incident notes, and so on. However, in the end, these are all forms of communication. Who are the charts for? This seems like a silly question, but it's easy to lose track of who our audience is in a busy clinical environment. The answer is simply other people. Through our charts, we communicate with other people. The charts are not reminders to ourselves, they're a message that we're trying to communicate with others. A medical chart has three basic functions. 1, a billing function, 2, a clinical function, and 3, a legal function. When put into this context, the chart carries a very heavy responsibility. We'll talk about each function more in detail shortly. A clinician's work can be both physical and mental. The medical chart functions like a list of both mental and physical services provided. Physical work is typically easier to understand for most people. For instance, wound closure, catheter placement, and a cholecystectomy are clearly all work. Mental work is harder to visualize, but it comes in the form of information collecting, information organizing, and communicating. Examples of mental work include exploring the various aspects of a presenting complaint, forming a differential diagnosis, and discussing a patient's case with a consultant. The chart's clinical function centers around communicating clinical information with other clinicians. For this aspect, we as clinicians should consider which pieces of information are relevant to telling the patient's story to future clinicians who will be taking care of the patient. This will often include questions like, how was the patient at the time you saw them? What did you do for the patient? And why did you do what you did for the patient? Our charts are also legal evidence. If someone files a legal complaint down the road, the chart will likely be a key piece of evidence. Your chart can defend you, your perspective on the patient's situation at the time, and your actions on the patient's behalf. So when you finish writing a chart, ask yourself, can this chart defend my actions? That's the end of Lesson 1. I hope you found the information interesting and useful. I go into more depth on these topics in my book, The Handbook of Medical Charting. Please check it out if you're interested in learning more.